Hello and welcome to the next episode of AgenaTrader software training and questions and answers. Today we will discuss the automated trading approach in AgenaTrader, and for this we will discuss the Setup Escort and the risk management, which are features from the AT++ manager. We will discuss how to create a stop-loss order, that it's automatically set the initial stop-loss, how to activate a trailing stop, which is optional, how to add a target order to your setup, and how to achieve automated order size calculation. My name is Daniel and I'm working for AgenaTrader since about 4 years now. I'm head of support and education, and I'm doing these live webinars on a weekly basis to teach all new AgenaTrader users or existing AgenaTrader users how to use the software in a better way. Before we continue, of course, the disclaimer: everything I'm showing here today is mainly meant for educational purposes. It is never an invitation to trade on the financial markets. Trading on these financial markets, especially live trading, comes with a high risk. And if you decide to do so, you do this on your own risk. All right, then we will shortly switch over to AgenaTrader and just discuss all the mentioned features. Here we go. This is AgenaTrader, as you might know it, and the AT++ manager can be found with the main menu toolbar, strategy handling, and you have here the AT++ manager. The Setup Escort and Condition Escort are both part of the AT++ manager, but you could have a link to also access it directly. But we will open the AT++ manager in this case. Here we go. The Setup Escort is on the left side in these 3 categories. It's called Setup Escort and Analyzer. And when you first click on it, you are asked to create a new analyzer session. If you expand the 3 menu, you will probably find a few sessions if you bought some packages from us, like the COT package, like the Dow Fury Pro package, and so on. And you will also have the standard session, which is just a default session that allows you to configure your trading strategies. But we will start with a new session. So we go back to Setup Escort and Analyzer, click inside the empty cell and call it, let's say, webinar testing session or something like that. After clicking on the Add Analyzer Session button, you will be forwarded to this new category, which is part now of the Setup Escort and Analyzer menu, let's say. And it opens up a few tabs and a few functions. First of all, you will be in the Activation tab, which is this one right here. And the Activation tab shows you your entry escorts. What is an entry escort? An entry escort is basically a trading signal. A trading signals can be created via the Condition Escort, which is the inbuilt signal creator. And this signal can be then searched in the markets. And in AgenaTrader, you are able to attach a complete trading strategy with stop loss and target and optional trailing stop to this very signal. So it comes with a package. This is specially meant for half of semi-automated trading or fully automated trading. So entry escorts, you see that I have a lot of entry escorts right here. and you will have a few default ones which we provide with the Andromeda version, which basically are meant for testing and for educating yourself. Today I will probably use this signal I created once, this called BBRSI long, BBRSI short. This signal basically scans in the markets if the price, current high or current low, depending if you're long or short, has reached the upper or lower Bollinger Band, and if the RSI indicator, relative strength indicator, is also in a certain level, like above 70 or below 30, you are getting then a signal. So these are a few conditions to search for signals. All right, so much about entry escorts. One more thing right here on the very bottom. This is the history periods in Analyzer Escort. Basically what you can do here is that you allow the scanner to show old signals. Old means the signal appeared a few bars ago. The maximum number here is 5. So you can show signals which are 5 closed bar old. If you enter 1, you will just see a current signal which happened on current close or which happened 1 bar before. If you enter here 0, you will only see current signals, so no old signals. Next, the Stop Escort. The Stop Escort is basically the stop loss order. The stop loss order can be used as initial stop order, and it can be used as a trailing stop. That's why we have so many different ones, because many of them have a built-in mathematical logic how to set an initial stop and how to trail with it. For example, the ATR is the average true range indicator. So this stop loss is basically based on an indicator, and it calculates the average true range of a specific range of bars and when this price was returned, the stop order is placed on it. And if you use it as trailing stop, it will trail the stop or move the stop to every new price this ATR indicator calculates, basically. The bar by bar stop is basically placing an order, when you go long, at the low of the last previous bar. If you go short on the high of the last previous bar, you can also tell this a stop to move a few bars back as well. Bollinger Bands, I think, is also quite straightforward. It places it on the Bollinger outside upper and lower Bollinger Bands. These are created ones, they are not part of what you will receive. The Dungeon channel is also an indicator which shows high and lows, and the stop order is placed on these prices. 8 trail is the SMA8, this simple moving average of 8 bars, and it places the stop there and can trail it from there. Fixed tick means you can select a fixed amount of ticks away from your entry order, and it will place right here. Gun high low is also an indicator. Initial risk is basically, it calculates what initial risk you have set. For example, you used an ATR indicator as initial stop, and the initial risk is then this very distance, and it keeps it for trailing. Kettner channel, these are few of Dow theory, outside bar, parabolic SRR. So basically, as you see, there are so many indicators you might know which calculate the stop price. Pivot is an pivot fast, medium, slow, has nothing to do with the pivot points themselves, but it uses the swing indicator, which was built from our CEO. This indicator shows you highs and lows in the markets. It's also kind of resistance and support lines, which can be where you can select the different strength of this support or resistance lines. That's why we have fast, medium, slow. Fast is very small strength, medium strength, high strength, and you can choose the strength for yourself. These 3 are not part of the standard package. Super trend and 20 trail. Super trend is again an indicator you will find in the standard indicators, and 20 trail as well is the SMA 20. So all these stops, if they are activated with the checkbox, can be later on used for your trading strategy. Same here counts for the entry escort. You can now select the signals you want to use for a specific session, so you can really organize yourself. And the ones which are activated are then available for configuration, and also can be found, or if you set it up, you can scan for these signals in the built-in AgenaTrader scanner. Next one, the target escorts. This creates a target order, and you have three different logics here, and for each logic you have up to 3 targets, so you can do some partial sells or buys depending if you're long or short. And fixed tick, like the stop, is a fixed amount of ticks. Multiple risk is very interesting. This allows you to, for example, you choose the ATR stop and it calculates your price, which is then the distance to which places the stop loss order based on the distance from the entry order, and this is your risk, right? Your entry and your stop, and the difference between it is your risk. And with the multiple risk 1 level, for example, you can then create a target order which has the exact same amount of distance, same price distance like the stop to the entry, so you can earn 1 risk. So you're risking 1, you could gain 1. But you could change how many risks, multiple risks, it will choose. So you can also say that I want to have my first target placed on 2 risks, which means it takes the risk from the stop order and doubles it. And again, up to 3 different levels, 3 different orders. No target is quite obvious. You can also choose to use no target at all in this case. And the pivots again are based on the swing indicator, same like the stop loss here, and it searches for highs, support resistance lines based on strength and places the target order in this case there. So everything which is selected, activated by the checkbox like this, can be later on used in the configuration right here. So the configuration allows you, or basically hides everything you don't want to see. As we can see, we have again a column for entry escorts, and again in this case it shows me only the ones I have activated, which are this BBRSI long and short strategy, and the manual mode is default. This is no signal at all. You could use the manual mode for trading without searching for signals. So maybe you're entering the markets based on some drawing objects, and you just choose the manual mode, so you have a proper trading strategy with stop loss and target and automated order size calculation, which I will show you later on how this works. So if you want to have another manual setup, let's do this first. So no signal, but you want to have, let's say, up to 3 different trading strategies with no signal based on some entry reasons you decide yourself. You can go here to the bottom right and type in manual setup 1, and you create it. And you could also remove it by clicking here and clicking this one. It will be removed. You cannot remove the manual mode, which comes as default. So let's create it again. And as soon as this is created, you select it in the entry escort area. And once it is selected, it mostly is blue. And on the right side, you can then start assigning your stop loss, your trailing stop and target orders. So the first scenario I would like to show you is like we will create an entry order, which is a market order. We will create an initial stop only and 1 target. So we will use, let's say, the ATR, which calculates some distance. Hot trail, soft trail stops, these are the trailing stops. And we will choose initial stop only, which is the first one right here, which means there is no trailing stops, but only an initial stop in both cases. In the next example, I will we also use a hard stop and explain you how the hard stop functions. And here the targets, I will choose multiple risk 1 level as a target in my manual setup right here. So let's go to parameters and finish up the first example from 3. So what we have here, again, once you click in this empty field here, it refreshes. So as you could see, the first ones disappeared. And now when I'm selecting my manual setup 1, I'm able to even do more specific parameters to the setups on the very right side over here. And the first one is called automated, and we set it with a Boolean false. We could also set it to true. What does this mean? This false means whenever you create a setup, it's a proposal order, which means it's just local on your platform, and only once you additionally accept the setup, it will be sent to your brokerage account. So this is very helpful if you're creating an order, setup, you're manipulating it, and only with additional okay, you send it. If you set it to true, your setup or your entry order is immediately sent to the broker. The break-even stops can be activated right here. I will use an example in a later setup. The order type is something which is quite interesting, because here you can decide if you want to have a stop order as entry order, if you want to have a limit, stop limit, or market order. In my case, I will just use a market order, which means whenever it is sent to the broker, it's immediately executed to the best price the broker gives me. The send signal mail and send signal mobile notification, these are two nice features where you can be notified whenever this signal appears. This cannot be applied to the manual setup, of course, because there is no signal, but this could be applied to this BBRSI short or long signal. Show in scanner is also for signals only, which means if you have the add-in dynamic scanner, you can filter for signals only. Signal sound is quite obvious, and then we have here specific risk amount and specific risk percent. So in this scenario, you could assign a specific risk you want to have based on amount, like I want a maximum risk $300, and once you choose it, the order size is calculated in a way that you cannot exceed a risk of $300. Up and down with some rounding possibilities could be slightly different, but around $300. So this means the distance between entry and stop plus the order size allows you to minimize your risk based on, let's say, $300. Risk percent means you can choose a percentage, like I don't want to risk more than 0.5% or 1%. You could go right here and say, okay, I want to only have 0.2% risk. And based on this parameter, so it can be choose just either one. The percentage is the first priority, then the risk amount priority. If you have not set anything right here, it will of course take this. If you don't set anything at all, so must be the 0. Then you have more specific and general risk management settings. I'm going to there later on. This is the risk management right here, which is a global risk management. This is a risk management only for specific setups. Execution sound is also quite obvious. You could enable a sound when the order gets executed. The order mode is quite interesting. We have direct and synthetic. Direct means it's an order that goes to the broker once it's activated. Synthetic means it stays in AgenaTrader, it's only local, and only when the price hits it, it will be sent as a market order to the broker. Send execution mail, also quite straightforward. You can be notified via email if an order gets executed. In this case, you have to set this to true and enter an email address in the general settings in the configuration escort. So, Stop Escorts. We said we chose ATR and multiple risk one level. So here in the Stop Escort area now, you can go and also have specific settings for your stop order. You have stop deviation ticks. You can choose, let's say, 5 ticks, which means it will add 5 ticks to the order price of the stop loss order. In this scenario, you can, if you choose an indicator or a bar, you can select it. It will be placed on the low in the bar stop loss plus a few ticks, for example. Wait bars before first trail for trailing stops, so it waits a few bars, closed bars. Execution sound quite forward. Order mode again, direct and synthetic. Email quite straightforward. Miscellaneous is now the option you can choose for your stop calculation. It asks you in the ATR case how many ATRs you wanna calculate should be calculated. So 1.5 means the price which comes out times 1.5, times 2, times 3, whatever you choose. Calculate on price change is false. So if price basically changes, it will be recalculated. We set this to false, so the order really remains on the position. If you move your entry order, it will not be recalculated. If you switch this on and you create an order which you then replace at another price, then it will also recalculate the stop. Periods, this is now the amount of bars the ATR indicator takes for calculating the average true range. So 10 means 10 bars of previous history. You can change this parameter as well. The same, so the stops are quite similar in the basic and the general settings. In the miscellaneous settings, you have then different ways. For example, here you can choose how many bars and it should place it back in history for hard, soft, and initial stop. Here, deviation, basically it allows you to set the specific indicator sets, like the price deviation and the periods for the SMA in the middle. Dungeon channel, again, the periods. Bar start allows you to use a different indicator at the beginning till the A-trail indicator could be used. Default ticks we have here, the amount of ticks you want to choose, how many highs or lows it should go back, how many risks, initial risks, and the factor it should calculate. There's nothing additionally. Again, channel indicator, so you can really manipulate the indicator as well as the stop. The Empty Pro we will not show, it's not part of the Andromeda version, you have to buy an add-on. Here again, outside bar trailing, how many bars back, parabolic area, what's the acceleration, max step, and so on. And for the pivot fast, medium, slow, you cannot change anything right here, as I can see. The strength in fast is 5, medium 15, slow 30. And super trend, again, you have the super trend parameters, so you can add the mode, the period, the multiplayer, and so on. 20 trail again. So quite straightforward basically. In the very beginning, I can just recommend that you use default settings, don't change anything, and once you understood how the indicator or how the Stop Escort works, you could try changing stuff and understand what the change means. Target escorts, again, parameters. Here, for example, I chose multiple risk 1 level and profit percentage target 1. So 100% of the position or of the entry order is also used for your target order, which means if you buy 100 stocks, you also sell 100 stocks. If you choose here only 50%, it would mean that if you buy 100 stocks, the first target will just remove 50 of it, and there will be remaining 50 stocks left without any target. Let's stay with 100. Risk to level 1 is as default on 2, which means I'm taking, let's say, a $300 risk, and I want to earn at least $600 as a profit. So 1, 2. 1 to 2, and if you increase it to 3 or 4, whatever, you could even make a 1.5 or something like that. So it's quite easy to change it around here. We will use default settings again. The option here on the bottom, this Exclude Instruments, this is quite useful if you have a signal which will only work in specific markets. So you can say, okay, this is a signal which works only in these 10 markets, and I want to exclude all the other markets. I'm still searching for signals, so I'm just adding in, let's say it's not working in the Euro US dollar market, so I'm just typing in the symbol name, or it's not working in the Apple market, and so on. And you can exclude the search for the signal BBR is short from these markets. Here we go. Well, we have just finished our first setup. Let's confirm it by clicking on OK. And now I will add it to, let's say, the market and show you how the trading setup now looks. Let's go to expand, let's say, this chart right here. This is the Apple chart in a daily bar time frame. And I have a few options how to apply a setup. One option would mean I right click in the chart, click to buy, and I can choose then the order type. Let's take market as we choose. So then it gives me the manual mode. And when I click on the manual mode, I can now choose a different signal, basically. All right. Let's recheck this right here. Okay, buy. One second. I chose the wrong session, very sorry. So the best, if you don't have the standard session in use, you should go here to this button first. If you use the chart trading, go to the drop down and select your webinar trading session for this chart or for the complete list. I will just activate it for this chart. And now I right click on this price, buy, market, and now I have my manual setup 1. And as you can see, it placed my stop on a specific amount of ATRs. I will show you how to verify and prove that this is correct. We go to the indicators, we go to ATR, right here, and we had 10. All right. So as you can see, the current ATR is on 4.8. And we had it times 1.5, so we have 7.2. Yes, 7.2. And if we go now to check the entry order, which is on 170.95, and deduct the 7.2, let me just get my calculator to make sure that this is right. So 170.95 minus 163.96, so 7.26. There is some rounding, I guess, as well. And this is how the, let's say, ATR was now calculated. If I calculate this times 2, I have my risk, 14.52. So if I'm choosing the 18.75 minus 170.95, so 14.52. So as you could see, it really calculated me my entry order price correctly, as well as the multiple risk 1 level target with 2 risks I want to earn. So a ratio of 1 to 2. And you even have here a estimated amount you could lose, like 466 euros in this case, and 929 euros you could profit if you reach your target, basically. And as you can see, it's a proposal order, so this is in a white color. You could change the price here. I mean, it's a market order. To change the price, I probably have to change it to a stop order. And as you could see, you can change it and the complete setup moves with it. You could change it to a synthetic order and dynamic, and you could have some general changes to the order type, to the expiry. You could change the setup completely itself with this button right here. And if you like the setup like it is, you can then activate it right here. And when it's green, it's a long order, which is actively sent to the broker. So this is an order which can be triggered now when the price hits it. You will see that there are order connections right here. Green ones is if done. This means when this entry order was triggered, the stop loss and target is also sent to the broker. This also means that you cannot should not switch off AgenaTrader and leave. You can leave the platform, of course, but you shouldn't switch it off, because if you switch it off, only the entry order is with the broker, but not your stop, not your target. So you're not protected. So until it is filled, please do not switch off your AgenaTrader. And again, we have this green one, this red order connections. This is the OCO connection, which means when either stop or target was triggered, the opposite will be deleted. If you want to remove the setup again, you have the X buttons right here. You should always remove it from the entry order, then the stop and target is removed automatically as well. Here we go. That's pretty much it. So let's find out why we received 466 euros and why it was 80 pieces it calculated for me for the order size. For this, we go to strategy handling, AT++ manager, and you go to risk management. I can have different accounts. I'm using at the moment the broker account. You can see this here on the left side and bottom left. This is my brokerage simulated account, and this is my data feed. So I can select it in general and change the risk settings for all the asset classes, or I can have different risk settings for all the different asset classes right here. So what I have to do is, if it's turned off, I have to turn it on. If it's turned off, it will use a default order size, and you can always change it. Risk management on means I can now choose for either defining a risk percentage for calculating the order size on either the buying power or cash value. Buying power is the cash value plus the leverage. Cash value is your real money on your account. The second one is the risk per trade defined by fixed value. And you can say, like we had it, I don't want to risk more than 300 euros. In this case, you can also switch the currency in AgenaTrader to US dollars and some other currencies, so don't worry. And either this or this. And additionally to these settings, you have to define what's the percentage you are willing to invest from your account. So this 10% right here is based on the account value. So if you have $100,000 on your account, you would invest maximum $10,000 with some rounding up and down, if you choose cash value. If you have $100,000 on your account and your broker gives you a leverage of, let's say 4, like Interactive Brokers is doing it very often, you could you then have a buying power of $400,000, which means you could with 10%, this means it will go up to $40,000 for one stock, for example, or one futures market or one currency market. Either the 10% is reached or the $300. Both, of course, is not possible. If your stop is very close, you can of course buy more contracts. If your stop is very far away, then it reduces the amount of contracts because your risk is bigger. So either you reach your risk amount or the maximum investment amount. Let's find out if this works. $300, maximum 10%. My account has a balance of buying power 339,000. So again, the same session. I'm deactivating it, activating it. I'm doing this a couple of times. If I make some changes to the AT++ manager, it's better to deactivate the AT++ in the chart and reactivate it to initialize these changes. Go to buy, stop, choose setup, and now it gives me a 50, an order size of 50. And as you can see here at the estimated risk I have here, it's 290 euros, 291 euros. So it's very close to 300 euros I have set, and I cannot do more because one contract more would exceed my 300 euros. So I received exactly 50 contracts. And when I drag and drop with my left mouse, with the left mouse button and drag it down to this position, for example, you see the target was replaced because there is now a higher difference between it, and the order size was reduced to 15, so I can stay below this $300. If I move it more closely, as you can see, I have now 105 contracts I could buy, so again 290, also almost $300. So with this you can really see how this Setup Escort and the risk management works basically. And I'm not reaching the 10%, which is this $34,000, because the $300 are reached first. So I will not exceed my risk I'm setting just because I have not invested the amount I chose for. So this is to be considered. Either it calculates it, it finds the order size by the risk or by the maximum amount. Both, of course, is not possible. All right. With this test, let's do some more setup. One more setup, and then 2 more setups and the risk management we explained anyway. Deactivating it, going back to the AT+ manager, and Setup Escort webinar session. Configuration, let's use a signal. I'm choosing now bar. I'm choosing a stop trailing. Let's go with the SME 8 trail, SME 8. We don't use a soft trail. Let's also use multiple risk 1 levels. Or let's use 2 levels in this case. Soft stop, no. What means hard stop? Hard stop is now moving the stop to a different position when the price is reached. When the price hits the stop, it immediately sells you the position. So we go to previous here long. Again, I have some settings. I can choose now a break-even stop as well. So let's say if I reach 1 risk or 1 tick or 1 ATR distance or 1%, then my stop should be set break even. And I can say, okay, if it's, let's say, add an additional 1% to the stop price. So you set break even plus a few plus 1%. So you could make 1%. Order type, we use stop this time. Then we go to bar by bar. Stop deviation, Dix is -1. We will not use that. Let's take +5. This is okay. And I'm using initial stop, so it goes 3 bars back. I just want to be 1 bar back, basically. And what else we have? We have the 8 trail. The 8 trail for the soft trailing. I do not change anything here. It's quite fine. It's nice. And I have the multiple risk 2 levels. So I have now 50-50 for the targets. To the first target, it's 1.5. I will take 2. And the third, I will want to have 4 risks away from it. So first targets, I'm earning, let's say, double the risk. And the second target, 4 times the risk. And one more thing, we apply the changes. And now I want to go to risk management, again to my broker account in general. And in these cases, I'm using now stocks, and stocks and currencies allow me to use a fixed amount here. So a fixed amount means I'm risking $3,000 from my account. It doesn't care about where my stop is or something like that. It's just taking $3,000, euros in this case, and investing it in the market. And so you just divide the $3,000 to the stock market price, and you get your order size. Here we go. Now let's choose, or basically let's now add this signal to the scanner with the button right here, because the scanner is this one on the left side. This is my market scanner, where I can also switch through symbols, and I can add a analyzer which searches for signals. Let's choose, let's say 1 minute, so I'm getting a lot. Bollinger breakout, now webinar testing, okay. And as you can see, it searches now for signals. Unfortunately, I'm not getting any, it seems, but this is okay. Yeah, not getting any current signal, but right now. But as soon as the signal would appear, I could click on it and activate it with activate the strategy. I can also add it to the action bar, entry escort, remove this ones, and webinar session, this free, okay. And now I have this setups right here, and if I click on buy, you can now see I have an initial stop, which is using the bar by bar on the low. As you can see, it's exactly placed on the low of the previous candle. My first target went up to 2 times my risk, and the second target 4 times the risks. And you can really see how this works out pretty well. And the 8 trail would mean now, if I'm adding the SMA 8 indicator, or like this, so SMA, selecting it, changing the period. I could change the color as well. Let's use this color. Let's also add the Bollinger Bands, because it's basically my signal. And as you can see now, when I'm activating this, as soon as it is triggered, I'm in the market. And when I'm in the market, the trailing stop slowly starts moving. Let me just remove this ATR. And the red line is now the SMA 8, and as soon the SMA 8, the red line, crosses my stop order, it will be then trailed via the SMA 8 line, but only when the market hits the price. Let me just move it a little bit down. So
stop order filled.
As you could see, I'm now in the market. My stops and my targets are also red now, because it's a selling orders, and they are also placed with the broker right now. Please note that the broker mainly supports one target. If you have a second target, you also should leave AgenaTrader on and connected, otherwise the setup cannot be triggered accordingly or finished accordingly. The stop order is there, so at least the stop is there. With one target, you can also leave the platform in many cases, but make sure your broker supports OCO order connections. All right, that's pretty much it. And as you see, I have here 20 pieces. And if I'm calculating this right again, 3,000 euros divided by, 171. I have here 70 pieces, 17.5. Of course, this is dollars, and I have chosen euros. So this about this currency exchange rate have to be considered. And as you see here, I'm having now a signal BBRSI short here on the left side. If I double click a signal, I'm getting now my setup. This one is very close to setup, but I didn't configure this one, so I can move the stop away. But as you see, I'm double clicking the signal right here, And this is a 1 minute chart basically. So I have to go to the 1 minute time frame as well to see it. And as you can see, this is the signal, why it happened. And that's why I'm getting an order here. And my stop was placed in the minute chart, of course, right here. So it was not so close, but in the daily chart, it looked like it. And that's it. I had here the high probably and initial stop only. So I could also add now here a trailing stop again. And
stop order filled.
Move into this market and trade it. Probably I make some money or not. I could also go and open the trading pad, and I have bar was set correctly, and then add, let's say, another target. And that's pretty much it. Let's discuss, before we stop the webinar, the soft stop. Go back to the 80++ manager. Configuration. Here we will use now, let's use the Bollinger Bands. Initial this hard stop is also Bollinger Bands. Oh no, let's use the 20 trail and a soft one, the 8 trail. So SMA 8, SMA 20 with one target. And yeah, the target settings is fine. The SMA 8, the targets is fine. So everything is perfect. And as you could see, as soon as a signal would appear, I could trade it with this strategy. And I don't know what's happening now to this trade. Let's just go back to the Apple one. Also 1 minute, but this would be from the day, the strategy. Let's go to this chart, activate the session, and activating buy stop my short setup basically. Sorry, I have to go sell, of course, to do my short setup. Here we go, 20 trail, target 40 pieces, so it really nicely calculates for me the order size and everything. And the soft trail stop is a logic which means when the price hits the soft trail, it doesn't immediately close the trade, the position. Only when the price closes above or below, of course, this price, then it will trigger the soft stop, and this would move the hard stop to a closer position. And if the price again falls and goes against you, then you will be stopped out. So hard stop immediately, the hard trailing stop immediately gets triggered. Soft trail stop is only triggered with a closing price, and this is the difference between hard and soft stop. All right, that's pretty much about it. You can learn more about the 80++ manager if you open it and click on this light bulb. If you don't see the light bulb, you can activate it here, and you have the configurations right here, and then you go to, for example, Setup Escort, and then you again have the additional tabs, and you can read more about it, like configuration, like yeah, and other stuff basically. Main page, activation, main page, and so on. So really with this light bulb, you can read more about each and every feature you find in AgenaTrader. If you cannot see the light bulb right here, it's probably hidden in the hidden commands, because you can hide and show commands in the main menu and so on. That's it. Thank you for watching this webinar, and I hope you learned something new. And this webinar will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you can watch it again. It will also be part in the support area, Agena Space, and you can find it also via AgenaTrader.com support. Goodbye, have a great day.